Three, two, one. The Great Cultural Shift by Dupli. Now, I really like this guy's videos. His editing is top tier. I hope my editing gets to that point one day. But let's see if there's a great cultural shift happening. Let's see what he has to say.
Things are changing. If you teleported someone from 10 years ago to today, their first impression would be that not much has changed. Phones got bigger, prices went higher, and GTA 6 still hasn't come out yet. But us who have actually lived through that period though, we know the truth. We know nothing is the same. A couple years ago, hip-hop was the biggest genre in the world.
You know what's crazy is that looking through that little slideshow of the years, a lot has happened in the past 10 years. It's so crazy because in 2015, I was, 15, 16 years old? And I don't remember it passing by like that. It went so fast. Maybe because the pandemic made everything like feel slowed down to the point where the pandemic didn't really feel like a full year and a half. But it's crazy how much things have changed and how, like, he's definitely got a point so far.
Now it's dead. Just yesterday, everyone
Hip-hop's
was holding
not dead,
their
though.
tongue and
I don't
staying
believe that
PC. Now, nobody cares. Today I want to answer the question on everyone's mind. What the fuck happened? These are the 5 stages of a culture shift.
Stage 1. Beginning.
Welcome to the year 2014. We're here at the tail end of Obama's presidency. The V-necks are cool, Instagram filters and Vine videos are at their peak.
Nuts. Got him.
My name is Jeff.
Everyone is doing the Ice Bucket Challenge, and Happy by Pharrell Williams is the biggest song on the planet.
I hated that song. It was one of the worst songs.
The general vibe is, well, kinda joyful.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That song felt so, like, commercialized. Like, I know it was intended for the Despicable Me movie, I think. I don't know if he, like, just made that and then they made it part of the soundtrack. But God, I hate that song.
You guys remember that? I mean, if Happy dropped today, it would flop diabolically,
100%.
become a TikTok meme, and get categorized as coworker music all within a 48-hour window. Things wouldn't stay like this for long, though, as behind all the corny enthusiasm in the pop sphere, change was coming.
In the most unexpected form.
This guy's editing is so good.
Hip-hop had at one point been a massively successful and influential genre. By the time 2014 rolled around, though, it seemed like those days were long gone, and that the once giant cultural force was on its last legs. Some may have disagreed, but the charts certainly seem to point in that direction, as 2014 statistically marked the lowest presence the genre had had on there in a long time. Mainstream hip-hop was dead, and the genre needed a spark, a wave that...
It's crazy, and because in 2014, Good Kid, Mad City had just came out 2 years ago. J. Cole's Forest Hill Drive just dropped. Drake's Nothing Was the Same, I think, came out in 2015, so that's about to come. But then I think If You're Reading This came out a year later, actually. But I think if you're reading this, is around the same time. So to say that hip hop was dying in 2014. I think that's depending on the artist you're looking at. In my opinion, chart success doesn't necessarily determine whether or not a genre is dying. I think it determines how much the media is pushing a certain genre, how much the masses, the people who aren't part of hip hop fan bases are paying attention to hip hop. But as far as hip hop itself, it was trying new, and then we all know what's about to come in 2016. Like I think he's about to get into, but hip-hop was not dying in 2014. I don't agree with that.
Would pull it back up to the center of everyone's attention.
I think conscious rap
In
was.
another
Conscious
corner
rap for
of
sure.
society, though,
And
that was already
maybe the bling
happening.
era.
There is growing outrage tonight after an unarmed African-American teenager was shot and killed by police in the St. Louis suburb of Ferguson, Missouri.
Oh, that just took a dark turn. I thought we were talking about hip-hop, and then he just went straight to, who died in Ferguson at 20? That's not Trayvon Martin. In 2015? It's so many that I don't even remember the names of them. R.I.P. to all of them. Hopefully someday things will change for sure. It still hasn't changed.
Leading up to 2015, several disconnected examples of inequality had managed to cross
Oh, it was
over from
Trayvon Martin. I
online
thought it was
virality
Florida he
to
died.
nationwide outrage.
They're mad. I'm mad. We should all be mad, man. We should all be angry because of what's going on right now.
We are asking for games to be more inclusive.
Gamergate? What's
we're
that?
asking for games to acknowledge that we exist and that we love games.
I don't know what Gamergate is. And this happened around 2015, 2016, he said? Something happened with the video game industry that I'm not a big gamer. So maybe that's why I'm not familiar with this.
With the rise of social media, there was a growing feeling that everyday people now had the power to make an actual change. Nobody really knew at the time, but this was only the beginning of something much greater. In stage 1, the seed is planted, a foundational idea is shared amongst the collective. The vibes are in the air, okay? And now it's up for people to grab them and make them into something real. Most movements stop here, but every so often, they move into
Stage 2. Rise.
Right.
Seeing the stale atmosphere hip-hop's veterans had left behind, the new generation decided to try something different.
That looks corny as hell.
Hold on, Thug wanna play some new shit.
You can hear their music online, mainly on SoundCloud and YouTube, and every once in a while one would creep onto the radio.
I'm not gonna lie, the SoundCloud era was one of the best eras of hip-hop. I know this is speaking from somebody who was like entrenched in that time. Like I was on SoundCloud heavy. Like somebody couldn't tell me that other streaming platforms were better than SoundCloud. SoundCloud had all the leak music. It had all the banger music. It had like you could find it without the ads pre 2016 before they went commercial. So it was so good. And the music was fire at the time too. There was a lot of great artists popping up. Yeah, what a time. What a time.
These so-called mumble rappers didn't take pride in their lyricism or messaging. They just put all their focus into energy, swag, and melodies. They were seen as a joke, okay? Most people didn't take them seriously, so they didn't see it coming. But over time, these artistic choices would form into a distinctive sound and aesthetic in the underground. And soon enough, with nothing happening in the mainstream, these fresh ideas would begin rapidly gaining traction. By the time 2016 rolled around, SoundCloud artists were blowing up overnight.
Jesus, ugly God.
All of a sudden, hip-hop is cool again, and everyone is talking about it.
I know these old hip hop heads is big.
Oh, like Joe Budden? I know you watching this shit like.
He called it.
On your bitch, she sucked my dick and then you kissed her.
Goddamn.
The worst freestyles I ever heard in my life.
Memes, debates, and micro trends are at an all-time high.
I just read about this kid who spent 15 hours saying Gucci Gang.
The new wave is coming, and everyone can feel it too. It's 2016, the year most Gen Zers talk about like it was the last time they felt happiness. And
I'm not gonna lie, 2016, for all those people who weren't like conscious enough to really understand it, so many things were going on that were like cohesive with each other, but in an alternate universe, you would never assume these worlds would collide. It was such a random time and piece. It's like what, if you're an older person out there, like really old, maybe like 60s, 70s out there, maybe even older than that. It's like 1967, like that summer, they call it the summer of love. That's when all the hippies were coming out, the Beatles, Jimi Hendrix, the Doors, all the great classic rock bands that were coming out. 1967 was their 2016 for all those people who don't understand. So crazy
Gen
time.
Z, and they're absolutely right. That shit was just different. I'm sorry. Like you put your Yeezys on, grab your hoverboard, go out in the street, open the Pokemon Go app. You go online.
Pokemon Go. Oh my god, I forgot about that.
Damn, Daniel, back at it again with the white bag.
Damn Daniel,
I didn't understand that, to be honest.
Running Man, Juju on that beat. No real worries, just Harambe, killer clowns, and the 73-9 Warriors.
Yep.
Like, compare that shit to now. All these new generations have is
6'7", 6'7".
What you know about the dab? Young Buck? The fuck? You wish you were Unc. You wish you were Unc.
What?
Back into the real world, and things are heating up. As Trump gets elected president, more and more people start feeling a responsibility to stand up and finally say something. At this point in time, the outrage we saw at the start of the decade started becoming more and more frequent. As useless as that sounds, they actually...
This is what I call the start of the fake activism, and it's not about what this is about to turn into. I know it looks like he's about to talk about Me Too because of the Harvey Weinstein game, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the people who put the black squares on their Instagram and have the random flags of some random country war that's going on. A lot of those people are fake activism. They don't want to be seen as somebody who's not keeping up with the times. They're not into they say they're into politics and news, and they're really hyper focused on a few, problems in their society or maybe other people's society. But if you tell them to get rid of their privileges or to get rid of their things that they're accommodating with, their accommodations and things like that, they're the first person to trying to backpedal. So this era was so annoying for people like me who didn't believe a lot of people in terms of their activism.
Made a difference. The Me Too movement exposed high-profile predators.
This one was crazy though. They definitely got a lot of those creeps out of there.
R. Kelly, Weinstein, and
Kevin Spacey
all get packed up. It's over with. The internet finally made people answer for their shitty past.
Colin Kaepernick sitting down, he said, to take a stand against the growing number of unarmed black men killed by police and racial injustice in general.
We just got out of a long-term relationship with a very boring but sensible person, and now we're dating a whore.
Thousands of Americans enraged by the man voted into office by millions of other Americans.
Fake hair, she's racist, she's always lying, we don't care! You don't have an option.
Does anybody actually find Joe Rogan funny? I know people watch his podcast, but it's not for his humor, is it? I'm sure he has funny moments like everybody else, but I've never actually seen him do stand-up. I'm just realizing that.
You have to stand up, speak up, act up.
On Hollywood's biggest night, it was activism that took center stage.
So I'm hyperventilating a little bit. If I fall over, pick me up because I've got some things to say.
Our voices joining together in a mighty
I do not
chorus
remember
that
this.
is finally saying, time's up.
We put up monuments for the feminists. Tell the NRA they in God's way.
As we move,
Common. Oh my God, Common. I'm not gonna go on a rant about Common. If you guys want to know my opinions about that rapper, just
closer to the end of the
Jesus
decade,
Christ.
those who never had a voice increasingly started banding together, and seeing the positive effects their actions could now have, thought to themselves, maybe we can actually do this. Stage 2 occurs when all those people who shared a common idea in Stage 1 start linking up, connecting, and building towards a common goal. The new wave is in full effect and ascending rapidly into
Stage 3. Peak.
okay.
Stage 3 marks the peak of the movement's popularity as the average Joe comes to discover what all the fuss is about. The thing, whatever it is, then becomes
This is when the masses catch up.
commercial and accessible for mass consumption. At this point, your alcoholic uncle will bring up Thing at a family gathering.
The problem they have is that I don't give a fuck. They don't cancel me, I cancel them.
Your parents ask you about Thing. SNL makes an awkward skit on Thing, which will make you slightly uncomfortable and chuckle one time. Hey, who the fuck watches this shit? And even though this seemed like the
This is this phenomenon of the businesses catching up when seeing what the the underground scene is becoming mainstream, that like development, that's next step. I understand why a lot of people choose to stay in underground spaces and underground fan bases and communities, because things like this just reek of unauthenticity. There's no genuine kind of like thought behind these. And I don't know about this older gentleman. He just seems like he's on the podcast, whatever. I don't know who he is. But the Pete Davidson and whoever the other guy is next to him, it just is like, where is the originality? Stop with the algorithm stuff. Like, I swear to you, when it comes to the social media, I think that's its biggest contribution, or biggest negative contribution to society, is people focusing so much about analytics. I loved hearing stories about people coming up with ideas that were just random, that just like were, in their garage, just sitting around doing something, just nothing to do with reading analytics. But now it just seems like, okay, we're gonna target this fan base. That's because it's growing. We're gonna look at these charts. And it's just like, oh my god, like, I can't stand it.
Natural trajectory of both movements, nothing could possibly prepare people for what was about to come.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. We are going to begin right now with breaking news because the World Health Organization has declared the coronavirus outbreak a pandemic.
COVID just hit. Everyone's inside and scared. But I'm not gonna lie, I was happy as fuck. You're telling me I don't have to go to school and I can spend the entire day doom scrolling? Bro, sign me up.
It has to come from the same virus to be in the same family. Viruses come in families. Stop touching niggas with your hands.
This was the era of face masks.
I remember that video. That shit was so funny.
Among Us sessions and TikTok videos.
And I'm in the house bored in a house, and I'm in the house bored.
And to make matters worse, nearly a decade of protests culminated in the explosion that was the murder of George Floyd.
Hands up, don't shoot!
Riots and protests engulfed the entire country for several months, while the issue of social justice became unavoidable and omnipresent.
The Black Lives Matter movement has unleashed a wave.
Really living through some like textbooks, paragraph right there, a historical textbook or some Stephen King apocalyptic kind of book. In 2020, I went to a few of these protests. I didn't damage any property. I feel like that's where it started to lose its message and its meaning behind the thing, when people started like going through stores, and I forgot what the term is exactly, but ransacking certain businesses and things like that. Now, the explanation of these are multi-billion-dollar, facilities, and they can spare a couple $100,000 from whatever's being stolen, or it's luxury goods that are really super cheap, but they mark it up to kind of spread this message of exclusivity and trying to make the poor feel bad, so the poor, spend a lot of money. I know I'm rambling at this point, but there was a lot of sentiments going around that time during the protest that I feel like strayed away from its true reason for assembling, was, discrimination based off color, racial preferences, racial, hatred and things like this. And it had some legs, and then, as all protests, or as majority of protests, the legs get cut off and people move on with their lives.
Of protests against racism worldwide.
If you've exhausted every option of peaceful protest for decades, and the prosecution of police still hasn't changed, what would you do?
Protest is pretty fucking amazing. They seem to be dedicated to change in a way that I can't remember.
One thing I also want to say is that what the other white guy was saying, I assume he's white based off this filter, but his name is Andrew Schultz, if I remember. What he was saying was trying to allude to that eventually people are going to start raising the intensity of protest if the peaceful sit down around a tree kind of protests aren't working. And that's not true. It is true, but it didn't happen. If he looked at those BLM protests during the 2020s and things like that, and he considered that a violent protest, I think he needs to go back in the history books and see what actual violent protests. Look at the slave rebellions of Haiti. Look at the French Revolution. Look at the American Revolution. These are protests that turn violent and are going to be remembered for the rest of time. In my opinion, these are, I don't want to call them violence because, you know, violent kind of insinuates that it's like a unjust reason for escalating the stakes of a protest, but those are what I would determine as a violent protest.
Anything like this in my life.
The state of pop culture at this point showed us that racial awareness was mandatory, LGBTQ appreciation was necessary, and that social justice was cool.
I take responsibility.
I take responsibility.
I take responsibility.
What is this?
I take responsibility for every unchecked moment.
Next, in what is possibly my second favorite story this month, Netflix and Amazon Prime came together to fight homophobia.
Quote, an unnecessary gay character.
Sorry you've yet to realize that every gay person is very necessary.
700,000 likes.
We love gay people too!
And folks, tune into the radio to hear the #1 song in the country, Montero.
The Lil Nas X episode is like what I like to call it because he came and went. You know, his controversial rage baiting kind of style of music video and promotion and music and stuff like that was very easy to identify. I don't understand why people spent so much time like analyzing this guy. I get it, at the time it was very controversial, but for somebody who's seen very controversial things in the past, it didn't really shock me. Like, I grew up watching Family Guy, Adult Swim shows, and that stuff just sent, like, eventually you learn to get accustomed to that sense of humor. So seeing this in real life with some, you know, guy trying to capitalize it off with his music, it just felt like, okay, if you don't keep this up, if you don't keep raising the stakes, no one's gonna care. And, you know, the way his life turned out after, if you guys haven't heard, it's pretty crazy.
Lil Nas is gay. Oh, let me stop.
Bro,
what? I gotta edit that out. Okay, Dad, you look like you homophobic.
No, I'm not homophobic.
Girl boss main leads dominated TV.
I belong to no one.
I identify as non-binary.
There's a really long history of black people not being treated fairly in this country. It has to stop.
Quinn has gender.
Wait, what? They did that?
And gender is not one she identifies.
I will no longer allow an unchecked moment. I will no longer allow racist, hurtful words, jokes, stereotypes, no matter how big or small, to be uttered in my presence.
Moral purity became everything. Okay, how much do you care? How good of a person are you? Those were the main questions of the COVID era. At the same time that social justice issues were reaching their zenith, hip-hop was also peaking. Coasting off the momentum of the SoundCloud wave, the entire genre had embraced the homogenous trap aesthetic. But not without reason. I mean, it worked, and it didn't stop working. It was the sound of pop charts and pop culture. Every commercial had a trap beat in the background. Labels started mass producing industry plans to capitalize on the goldmine that mainstream rap had become. Nav was selling 130K first week. What are we talking about? At this point, hip-hop was the biggest genre of music in the world, becoming bigger than it had ever been. Even larger-than-life pop stars were desperate to jump on the wave.
When you see the max, they stacked up like my hands, yeah. Go from the south to the booth, make it all back.
Ariana Grande had a whole era where she just spray painted.
This has been happening. This wasn't new to 2020s and the late 2010s. In the 80s, Run DMC collabed with Aerosmith. And at the time, Aerosmith was definitely the bigger pop act, you could say, in terms of popularity. But Run DMC was the new cultural forebringer. Like, they were pushing the boundaries. So this idea of pop or very popular artists collaborating with rappers and things like that is nothing new. This is not something to the 2010s.
I'm like, bitch, that's my cookie, that's my juice, okay? Carry on.
Talked strictly in awe.
This is the Mac I'm here to talk about today, girl. Come on.
And made watered down trap music.
Make big deposits.
Filmy, get your ass in here. Come on, girl.
This is actually real. Like, her fans call it the Blackiana era. In just a couple of years' time, both of these movements had managed to conquer the world. And now, having been rewarded with great success, the founders are no longer focused on innovating. Instead, their primary goal is to maintain their status, polishing the ideas that had worked so well for them.
Is stage 4 the downfall? Or is that just the Fat King? We got
Drake. It's the end of 2021 and he's the biggest rapper in the world. Larger than life and in complete control of hip-hop. It hadn't always been this way though. Once upon a time, he was just an awkward, geeky kid who stuck out like a sore thumb amongst his rapper peers.
I just want to make music that people enjoy, you know?
While on radio, young Drake might have been a rising star and hitmaker, amongst the hip-hop community, he was a laughing stock.
I don't like anything about Drake. Mom, I don't like his...
This isn't necessarily... I don't want to say it's not true, because a lot of rappers did display their dislike for Drake. DMX here for an example. But within the younger generation, Drake was beloved by a lot of people. That 2016 era that people like to point to, those SoundCloud rappers, you would be hard pressed to find one that said they didn't like Drake's music. So it was definitely an age thing, in my opinion. And depending on who you cater to. So
I be trying to tell these
I don't know why I did this.
I don't like the way he walks like nothing. I don't like his haircut.
An emotional pussy who talked about women and feelings too much.
He's so emotional, man. When did rap become that? He'll just make a song that's just like, oh, I'm crying.
From that point on, Drake did everything in his power to dominate the rap game, secretly hoping he could change the mind of all those bullies who didn't let him in at the start of the decade. It took a lot of work, a lot of dedication, and a lot of great music. Fast forward to 2021, and Drake had gotten exactly what he was asking for. His vulnerable and emotional approach had completely changed the foundation of the rap game, and was finally accepted as normal. Drake was now not only the undisputed king of the biggest music genre in the world, but also well respected in almost every corner of its culture, even managing to convince some of his street credibility. Aubrey didn't want to change things anymore. Aubrey wanted things to stay the same. Nothing lasts forever.
Unintended.
People always seem to forget that. Where there once was a purpose, now isn't anymore. People get cocky, arrogant, and start abusing their power just because they can.
Honestly, if you guys want to look in my eyes, you guys want to do something? You guys, that's what I thought. No, that's what I thought.
In a figurative sense, this is the point where the victim becomes the bully, perpetuating the cycle of abuse that was responsible for the start of the movement in the first place.
I have to come to the conclusion that inherently, I Show Speed is just a piece of shit. I don't see any way someone like this can turn around and redeem themselves and be able to make up for all the disgusting shit that they've done and said and influenced for people.
As a guy with a platform, I can't imagine posting anything like that.
Bankrupt them, put them out of business, deplatform them, like actually take them out financially.
They feel untouchable and unbeatable, convinced that their run will last forever.
I want nothing to do with you. And I won't think twice about it, because you're not worth keeping around.
This exact
what is that?
Marks the
Who is that?
Of the end.
What was that eerie serial killer kind of vibe?
And now, we take a short break from our program to learn the art of performative progressivism. Brought to you by Mint Mobile.
Welcome to today's video clip, how to be a performative good guy.
This is true. A lot of people were. This is. Let me get my words together. This era, and there's still some of these, hanging around, but they're basically follow whatever is popular. I don't want to say popular in terms of just like favored, but in terms of ideals, they will push heavy because they see this is what the masses will agree upon. So if the masses agree upon it and I'm preaching this same message, then I'm going to be liked and I'm going to gain a following. I'm going to gain this instead of showing my true opinions, which some people, their skeletons do come out the closet eventually. And it just comes off as just like, did anybody really care to hear this person's, rambling of the same discourse that we hear from clones just like them? I think that was also an error that people need to, I mean, he's about to identify, is that like there was a lack of authenticity being preached.
You want reputation and you want status. Okay, so for this strat, you're gonna need 3 things, okay? Twitter.
But I will say, because I just thought of this, and I think he's gonna talk about this in a few years from this. Well, this is 2021, 2022, and 2023, 4, 5. The opposite would become a thing, where being a contrarian, which I guess is not necessarily contrarian, but all the propaganda and the ideals and the messaging that was pushed for the past 10 years since 2023, people would start to grow a following for preaching the opposites, whether it was beneficial or negative to the people who were engaging with that media. So it's a lot of pendulum swinging, a lot of left and right politics, a lot of left and right ideals, non-religious, religious. It was just all swinging around.
Now, one of these glasses, and these are very important, okay? Specifically this shape. It has to.
These are actually prescription, okay? So don't put me in the group with these people. I need these glasses.
Be this shape. It has to be this shape. These glasses say you're harmless, you care about women, and you care about social activism.
No, that's not true. I hate all of that.
Okay? These glasses tell people you're an intellectual. All that's left
I'm dumb as fuck.
Step, which is getting an internet connection. Now you're gonna want to get yourself a Mint Mobile plan, because they sponsor this video. Now remember, we're only gonna do this while it's cool and trendy. So even though you save money on the longer plans, all we really need is the 3-month one. You're the star here, okay?
Is this an ad?
This is all about you. Mint Mobile runs on the largest 5G
It is an ad.
in the country. So no matter where you
I can't
go,
skip this.
marginalized voices can sleep well knowing that you.
This is where we are, canceling food. Last week they canceled Uncle Ben's rice. No beans, no rice. Trump doesn't even need to build a wall.
We're now beginning week 2 of the left's all-out attack on Joe Rogan.
The liberal mob's lashing out at Euphoria star Sydney Sweeney, calling her racist after she posted photos from her mom's 60th birthday party.
As we started getting deeper into the 20s, the dominance of wokeness in the mainstream and the aggressive tactics it used in eliminating its detractors sparked massive outrage on the other side of the political aisle. There was a growing rage from those who felt left out and ironically oppressed in popular culture. Zuckerberg became a red pill frat bro at 40 years old. Elon Musk buying X and making it a safe haven for the ostracized and the canceled.
Like wokeness basically wants to make comedy illegal, which is not cool.
Podcasts become the home of anti-wokeness, with most comedians pulling in millions of views while professing their hate for the social justice movement. Along with them, their audience started rapidly moving in the opposite direction. They too would be canceled and deplatformed, but the sentiment still didn't go away. Woke culture now had an enemy, which was climbing rapidly up the ranks. Things slowly start to get ugly as stage 4 unravels.
I really think this is Drake's lowest point yet in terms of level of effort. He really put almost nothing into this record.
People get fat, washed up, and lazy, completely losing their ability to stick together, innovate, or adapt to any new obstacles. At this point, the movement becomes so normalized in the mainstream that it loses its ability to challenge. The once fresh and lively culture
that is funny to watch.
is reduced to a cheap trend, an emblem to be worn rather than a piece of resistance that demands reflection and action. The social justice movement went from rallying people towards a common goal to pointless exercises of power over celebrities and athletes who didn't pass the moral purity test. The moral standards would only go higher and higher as time went by, until even the people inside the movement couldn't live up to them anymore. At that point, the focus turned inward, and the progressive sphere started devouring itself.
I wonder I don't know if these guys that he's saying are canceled. I wonder what's their reflection of their past, efforts. I wonder if they see it as like, yeah, I was just doing it for, because it was popular. I was just doing it for money, clout, whatever it was, or did they actually believe in that stuff? That's where I want to know if they were just, as today's people would put it, were they just gesturing? Those words are so funny, I'm gonna be honest. Jester.
Word to my mother, I really got the Joe Biden pinatas on deck.
People moved past COVID like it never happened and went right back outside. Y2K aesthetic dominates everything. Baggy pants are back in style. It's a new day where virality is more important than ever. Streamers have become the new celebrities. Yego's DEFCON 3.
You can't say out loud that this person ever did anything good, and I'm done with that.
Barbenheimer. Hip-hop is rapidly falling off both in quality and popularity. Nobody knows what to do. How do you stop stage 4 from happening? Well, the answer is simple. You don't. There's really only one thing you can do at this point. Speed up the inevitable.
A revolution.
For most rap fans, Kendrick Lamar was always everything Drake couldn't be. He was.
Is he about to say that Kendrick is going to be the spark for the revolution of the 2020s and here on after? I hate to say it, guys, but Kendrick is not going to be the reason for the revolution. The revolution will not be televised, if you guys know that famous quote. Saying that we shouldn't look to Kendrick, a rapper, for inspiration. Not to say he can't be inspiring, but for something of this magnitude, like changing the culture, he could do it within his community. Even within hip-hop, he can. But this video is more than just hip-hop. It's about society as a whole. And to say that Kendrick is going to be the reason for that, I hate to break it to you, but that's not the case.
Hailed as hip-hop's golden child right at the start of his mainstream run, quickly becoming the critic and fan favorite.
This is good hip-hop. This is positive hip-hop. This is the kind of hip-hop that we need, that's commenting on social issues.
It was the one section of the audience Drake could never win over, despite trying his hardest. See, unlike Aubrey...
I think a new genre of music will rise before hip-hop goes back to that conscious rap era of, like, the 2000s and the 90s style of hip-hop. Like, I think a new genre will take over before that.
Kendrick's main strength wasn't getting on the radio. It was creating meticulous...
But Kendrick is great. I like Kendrick. Don't get me wrong.
Timeless bodies of work, which
great
set him
artist.
apart from the rest
I
of
like
the
Drake too.
He was the one people counted on to lead hip-hop into a brighter tomorrow. Even as the SoundCloud wave hit and melodic trap took over, he adapted, wrestling with Drake for the throne of hip-hop well into the 2010s. But then, he disappeared, and that allowed Drake to take the reins and lead the way as hip-hop's #1. Fast forward to 2023, and Drake is scoring his 14th #1 album, while the genre is in a free fall, deteriorating into a dark pit of pathetic gimmicks and desperate trend chasers. Fans were increasingly unhappy, but the mainstream was still eating it up. Truthfully, this corrosive climate suited Drake. As the biggest rapper in the world and a notorious trend chaser himself, he stood only to gain from the lack of quality and depth the average listener had become accustomed to. Things couldn't go on this way. Something had to be done, and the Golden Child knew exactly what that was.
The king is back! Oh shit! He's rapping!
Motherfuck the big three. Nigga, it's just big me. Nigga,
What's crazy is that if you wanted to do a reaction, like if you wanted to make a reaction channel, that was the time to start. I'm starting in 2020, almost 2026 now. Like literally it's the last week of 2025. And I'm not sitting here saying like, oh, I wish I started then, because, you know, another great opportunity will come in the future. That's nothing I'm, you know, worried about. It's just funny to see so many people, you know, react to the same things at the same time. Like everybody was on their phones waiting for the next diss track. It was a great beef in my opinion. They both did their thing.
Goofies with a check.
Kendrick's the best. Kendrick's the best rapper. Kendrick is I've always said Kendrick's my favorite.
Bully, I hate bullies. You must be a terrible person. Everyone inside your team is whispering that you deserve it.
I'm literally uploading Drake's diss right now. How do you have a response up before this even uploaded?
Kendrick, relax!
Hey, he going crazy.
Kendrick,
right now.
chill!
And we gotta raise our daughters knowing there's predators like him lurking. Fuck that. Wait, I can't take this. This is too much. Why believe you? You never gave us nothing to believe in, cause you lied about religious views.
Damn, he locked in like crazy.
A rebellion, an
Yeah,
uprising led to one of the biggest cultural events of the 2020s.
I hear you like I'm young. You better not ever go to Cell Block 1.
A rap battle in which Kendrick Lamar destroyed Drake, slaying the flag bearer of late-stage commercial trap, and finally saying what the culture was feeling out loud. Enough with the hollow, lazy, and unoriginal. We need music that's creative, deep, and inspired. Everybody had their fun, but now the party is over, and it's time for something real.
The counter
if you say
movement.
you're voting for Trump, suddenly you're a Nazi, you're Hitler, you're garbage. Enough. Enough.
They just want no Trump, no matter what, and they're willing to gaslight themselves.
Hey, so remember all those anti-woke guys from earlier in the video? Yeah, they didn't go away. As a matter of fact, they only multiplied and grew stronger as the public sentiment shifted further and further away from social progressivism. It wasn't just a fleeting feeling. It was a burning hatred towards the status quo that required drastic change. A fire had been started, and no one was putting it out.
I remember. I forgot he got shot.
CNN projects that Donald Trump has been elected president, defeating Vice President Kamala Harris and making a political comeback unlike any.
47th president of the United States.
The former president's comeback.
I am going to admit I am a little surprised that they won so much.
It was finally official. We were now in
Stage 5.
And that's it. Here we are. It was just announced that for the first time in 35 years, hip-hop spent an entire week without a single song in the top 40 of the charts. The biggest trap releases of the year have all flopped diabolically, and even the average Joes are bored at this point.
Rap is cool and all, but it's getting outplayed, bro. They talk about hoes, money. It's the same topics like every single
17 bodies last night. Them all in the head. Ain't nobody catching.
Okay, I hope you get caught soon, my brother.
We know that your body's T. We know that you have good poom poom.
You could tell the people who preach this sentiment about rap is dead, R&B is toxic, all these things. A lot of the times they listen to maybe 3 genres and maybe like a handful of artists. They don't really get to understand that there's a lot of different music out there. I'm a big fan of music. It's my favorite thing in the world. That's why I react and I make videos about music pretty much. There's a lot of things out there. There's a lot of different genres, a lot of different styles, a lot of different artists. So if people feel like they're bored of a certain genre or they're bored of a certain style of music, go explore, go check out different artists, go give people a chance. You know, stop just listening to the same 5 Atlanta rappers and the same like 4 Instagram model chick rappers or R&B artists. Like, you know, there's a lot more to this world than SZA and Lil Baby. You know, you can go out there and check out some new people.
We know that you
stop playing rap for the most part, and honestly, I've come to realize it's probably the worst genre there is. Like our
Stage 5 is where the movement becomes culturally irrelevant and a complete non-factor in the mainstream. Those from the movement may still try to recapture an old flame, a moment that got lost in time, but the people have already moved on. The old moves don't work anymore, the shots aren't falling, and the crowd is as quiet as a church mouse. The power has been completely stripped from its previous holders and put into the hands of people who were made to feel silenced, mocked, and left out before. The culture is theirs to shape now.
The liberal mom's lashing out at Euphoria star Sydney Sweeney, calling her racist after she posted photos from her mom's 60th birthday party.
My jeans are blue.
Sydney Sweeney has great genes.
White people shouldn't joke about genetic superiority. Since you are talking about this, I just wanted to give you an
Looks like she's going
to talk
through
about
it.
that specifically.
I think that when
She ain't combing her hair.
I have an issue that I want to speak about, people will hear.
Miss Tan, genetics. I just got my color analysis back.
There is a cultural shift happening in the US. We're seeing a move away, even in these commercials that are so typically woke.
The zeitgeist showed it wasn't cool to be progressive or liberal.
When you're walking down the street late at night, guess what you're looking for? Black people.
Yes and no, because anybody at that time of night, if I'm by myself, is sketchy. To me, I'm going to be skeptical about anybody. White, black, Latino, Latina, Asian. This specification on black people, as if like black people are stronger at nighttime for some reason. Like, why do you have to call out, if you're walking out this time of night, you're looking out for black people? It's just like, I'm not going to even go into that. That's a whole different
And you equate that with danger.
can of worms.
Another human I would just deport immediately.
We are just so unbelievably fed up with the ghetto ratchet behavior, entitlement, the victimhood.
Platforms no longer care about political correctness. Corporations no longer
Truth
celebrate
isn't
Pride
racist.
Month.
What?
Google, no change. IBM, no change. Microsoft, no change.
Or any month for that matter. It's like they never cared about anything. Wow.
And see, this is what I meant earlier in the video. I talked about fake activism. This is what I mean. These people didn't actually believe in the things that they were preaching. They were just saying it was popular. All those brands that the guy was pulling up saying that there's no change, I'm assuming he means like their logos during Pride Month because he had used that imagery before in the video. Yeah, no shit. We knew, or at least I knew, or at least I assumed. Those companies did not give a fuck about no damn Pride Month. They just wanted to sell more product. The same thing with your politicians. The same thing with your musicians. The same things with your clothing designer brands. It was all for money. These people forget we live in capitalism. Lying and cheating and pulling the wool over your eyes is a part of it. And if you're too naive to think that these people actually cared and now we're gonna show our truthful racist opinions, I've always said I'd rather know a racist for who they are, nothing, hiding behind the lines of whatever, being scared of being called something. Just come out and say your truthful opinion and move accordingly. That's my opinion. That's always been my opinion.
Even Starbucks roached out on the gays?
Country is taken over as the most popular genre of music.
That's not true.
You have been the light of the day. You are such a gift. You brought such light.
Look around you. Everything is a byproduct of what came before it. The overbearing need for social responsibility and pure morals of years past has now been replaced by a culture ready to eat up whatever seems authentic, no matter how shitty at its core. When something feels too clean, people crave mess. When everything's ironic, sincerity starts to look rebellious. Every era gives us ideas and moments that change the world as we know it. Then, we move on. The social justice movement didn't vanish, it dissolved. It was absorbed into the culture. The language changed, the expectations changed, and the boundaries moved. And once that happens, it stops feeling like a movement at all and just becomes the new normal. The past decade of hip-hop has been liberating. The genre doesn't take itself nearly as seriously anymore. The gender norms have been broken, and artists are free to bend their voices, their images, and their identities however they want. The demand for change has been met. The movement has served its purpose. Death is inevitable. Death is healthy. Nothing, no sound, no movement, no era can or should stay mainstream forever. Now that the people have made their money and the vultures have moved on, it's time for a reset. It's time to go back underground and come up with something new. The Kendrick-Drake beef wasn't just a rap moment. It was a reminder. Culture changes when someone chooses to change it. When people stand up and decide the old rules don't apply anymore. Every era ends the same way, with a spark, a fracture, a moment no one saw coming. And maybe, just maybe, we're closer to that moment than we think.
Yo, shout out to Dupley. That video was amazing. Now, that is not only aspirational in terms of how I want to make videos, maybe not the same exact way, but in terms of quality, 100%. That's something that I wish he talked about. I wish he talked about content creation. He didn't mention anything about how people are so analytical with content, how like YouTube's prime in terms of its peak was 2015 was its last year, in my opinion. After 2015, it went downhill for analytics. It was just like no more what people were going to YouTube for, to escape the commercialized television. YouTube and all these other social media forms, TikTok, Twitch, and all these other things are so commercial to this point now where it's a whole different can of worms. Maybe he'll make that in the next video. But the great cultural shit video by Dupley, it was a 10 out of 10. That was a 1 out of 10 for YouTube analytic people. That was an amazing video. I 100% agree with that. There was a lot of things that he kind of missed out, but it was more of a description about the past 10 years. And wow, a lot has changed. And it's just going to completely keep going. It's just going to, I'm not going to say it's going to go farther down because I can't predict the future. There's going to be a lot more suffering for sure. A lot of people are going to suffer more with, you know, the wage gap in terms of not between men and women, but I'm talking about the poor and the rich. That gap is going to be increasing. People's like everyday lives are going to get more expensive, inflation, all these different things. Obviously, it's not an economics channel, so he's not talking about that, but that's going to play a part into a lot of these different things, whether it's the music people digest into, whether it's the politics people listen to, whether it's even the social media content they listen to. It's because their finances are going to shape their, I guess you could say, their experience in life and what they gravitate towards. You know, if I'm a poor person and I'm living a poor life, I'm not going to want to watch a rich person flex on me 24/7. Like, look at me in the Bahamas and, you know, constantly traveling all the time. Like, some people might find it inspirational, but I'm going to always think that it's just a facade. Like, that's not truly who these people are. They just know it's just what people want to see. But at this point, I'm rambling at this point. But you guys let me know what you guys think about this video and what you guys think about the great cultural shift. Leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel, and thank you for watching.